and today we're going to talk about ratio analysis. And as a review, last meeting we discussed about the vertical and horizontal analysis, the trend analysis, and today we're going to talk about another ratio that should be very useful sa inyong mga negosyo. You're deciding for your company, for your business. And this one is what we call the ratio analysis. Okay, let's start with the topics to be taken today. Primarily, we're going to talk about ratio analysis, liquidity, and efficiency, as well as working capital of your business, financial ratio, and liquidity. So itong limang to, this should be very useful sa inyong mga companies, sa inyong mga business pa ikaw ay nag-decide whether you have a small, medium, micro type of business. So I hope that topics for today will be useful. Whether you're an accountant or financial major individual, kahit simpleng negosyante without accounting or financial background, let us dwell on this one and let's make this as simple as possible. And I have some objectives or goals for the day. Ito yung ating gustong malaman. Ito yung gustong ma-meet, ma-achieve nyo. After we are done with the 15 slides for the day, basically, you should be able to explain, discuss what is ratio, anong gagamitin sa mga negosyo, mga pera, how to compute, and paano mo siya i-apply sa inyong mga business. No? Ito mga ratio analysis natin. And also, this one, we're going to list down yung mga types. Although this one is a review, but we can go back and review yung mga types of financial statement, the income statement, the balance sheet, at ano yung makikita sa bawat statement na yan. What can we find? The balance sheet, what can we find? The income statement. Basically, pag sinabi nating income statement, dyan natin makikita lahat ng benta, revenue, cost, puhunan, expenses, gastos, tubo, o net income ng inyong company. And sa balance sheet naman, we can find in the balance sheet lahat ng asset or property, ari-arian, lahat ng utang, liability, at lahat ng mga capital or equity or puhunan or share mo sa isang company. Yan kinati sa ating mga balance sheet. And another one, we should be able to discuss yung mga ratio. Anong relationship ng isang amount sa isang amount? Example, amount that when we find the income statement, meron ba siyang relation isang amount na magkikita sa balance sheet. No? So we can compute something by using an amount or an item from an income statement or an item from your balance sheet. And we can compare if we are able to compute yung mga ratio natin mamaya. Example, ratio on profitability, ratio on solvency, ratio on liquidity. We can compare those things, those ratio, doon sa ating mga competitors. No? Example, you can compute 10% or 20% net profit ng inyong company. What is the relationship with that one doon sa net profit or net income ng kabilang company? So that para makita niyo kung ikaw ba ay at par or you are malapit or malayo sa profitability ratio ng mga kalaban mo. Ayan. And yun natin mga gagawin for today. And ito yung mga tools na gamit natin. Ito yung mga i-compute natin when we are computing ratio. Ito yung mga ating compute. Liquidity. I think we have discussed this one in previous lessons natin. Pag sinabing liquidity, meron bang pera to pay maturing obligations that are payable within 1 year. Yan. Ang liquidity natin. or solvency. They have the capability to pay maturing obligations that are payable for more than 1 year. Yan, may pera ka ba na pambayad sa mga obligations or utang ng isang company. And we should also compute profitability. Gaano ka profitable? Hindi lahat ng kumikita ay matatawag natin profitable. Pag kumita ka ng piso, that is may profit ka, di ba? Kaya lang, are you profitable ba? Yan, baka mamaya meron kang kumita ka ng 100 pesos. Tuwang-tuwa ka, di ba? Meron kang profit. But is it profitability? Baka hindi, di ba? Baka masyado kang maraming benta. Nakabenta ka ng 50,000. Tapos ang gastos mo ay 49,000. Ang kinita mo 1,000. You have the profit, but is it profitable? Hindi masyado, di ba? Kasi although kumita ka, although nag-profit ka, kaya lang, kunti lang. Di ba? And market prospect, yung mga stock ba ng iyong company can be marketable or gaano siya ka-saleable pag binibenta natin. Of course, if we want to raise capital, gusto natin magkaroon ng maraming capital, what we do, we sell stocks to the market. So, gaano ka-marketable ang isang stock sa market? That is how we compute yung market prospect ng ating mga stock. Example, if you are the e-corporation, you want to sell your stock. Meron bang bibili ng mga stock mo para meron kang fund na ma-raise for your business. Yan ang mga tinatarget natin when we talk about ratio analysis. And ito yung mga tools natin. Sa previous slide, yun ang mga target natin. Ito naman, ito mga specific na mga ratio na hinahanap natin para sa ating company, para sa ating business, para ma-measure natin ang performance ng ating company. Whether you are small type or a medium size or large size company. Lahat to ay magagamit natin. Na? So the important significance of these things are ito yung mga makakatulong sa atin kung how to measure yung ating isang specific business by using these items that came from the balance sheet and the income statement. Okay, let's start with this one. Ang pinakaunang inaalam natin is the working capital. Sa working capital, it represents your current asset. Pag sinabing current asset, yung mga asset or property mo or ari-arian ng company na that can be converted into cash easily para mabayaran yung mga maturing obligation natin. Yung mga near-term repayment or mga obligations that are payable within 1 year. May pera ka ba dyan? Yun na inaalam natin dito. No? Kasi pag sinabing asset, hindi lahat ng asset can be converted into cash right away. No? Pag meron kang building, parang mahirap siyang i-convert kagad sa cash. No? So parang wala kang source of cash kagad. Bibenta mo pa yung building ng matagal, no? Bago it can be converted into cash. Ayan. May mga asset naman na can be readily converted into cash. Example, supplies, short-term receivable, mga investment, no? Or yung cash mismo. They are, we can use them to pay maturing obligations. So mga madaling or immediate repayments ng ating business. No? Meron kang pambayad dapat dyan. So, we need capital for those things. Specifically, those are the working capital. Okay, and let us make sure kung meron kang working capital na magagamit sa mga bayarin na maturing. Firstly, you should know yung total current asset. So, from previous lessons, pag sinabi natin current assets, ito yung mga ari-arian or property that can be converted easily into cash sa loob ng isang taon. Sabi ko kanina, may mga ari-arian kang mahirap convert into cash, di ba? Pero yung mga cash mong madaling convert into cash within 1 year, yung tinatawag natin current asset. Example, supplies, receivables. Receivables, mga papautang na yung company. No? Mga supplies mo, inventa mo yan, cash ka agad yan, di ba? Inventory, can be converted into cash. O pwede, benta mo lang yan, cash ka agad yan, di ba? Or investment mo sa bangko, cash in bank. So, madali sa may convert into cash. Now, yun po tinatawag na mga current asset. And you should also know mga current liabilities mo. Pag sinabing current liabilities, ito yung mga utang ng company that should be paid or payable sa loob ng isang taon. Ito yung mga utang mong mga utang mong payable within 30 days, within 60 days, within 90 days, no? So mga utang, basically mga utang. Kasi may mga utang yung company mo na hindi naman immediately payable. Mga utang ng company na more than 1 year babayaran or payable for 25 years, hindi siya current. So now, pag nalaman mo current asset mo and you know the current liabilities, example, current asset is 100,000 while current liabilities are 70,000. So just get the difference. So 100,000 minus 70,000, that is equal to 30,000. Yung 30,000 mo, that is what we call the working capital. Okay? So, working capital means pwede mo siyang gamitin na pang-operation sa loob ng iyong company for the immediate repayments. Now, meron kang mambayad dun sa mga immediate repayments mo that are payable within 1 year. Meron kang 30,000 na working capital. Okay? So, mas marami kang working capital, mas maganda ang iyong liquidity situation or position ng iyong company. Meron kang pambayad kaagad sa mga maturing obligations or current obligations. Meron kang 30,000. Okay? Ibig sabihin yan, pag yung current asset ay 100,000, then current liabilities are 95,000. The difference is 5,000. It means that is your working capital. So, palit ang working capital mo, papangit ng yung ability to pay current obligation. Kasi mas marami kang working capital, mas maganda para sa iyong company. It means you have enough asset or cash to pay your current obligations. No? Yung yan sinawag sa working capital, those assets or those cash that you can work on to pay your maturing obligations. Okay, and next one. Ito naman yung current ratio natin. So, i-define muna natin current ratio, no? So, paano siya ginagamit sa iyong company, sa iyong business? Current ratio, it measures the short-term debt-paying ability of your company. Meron ka bang ability to pay yung mga bayarin or obligation ng iyong company? Okay? So, mas mataas daw yung current ratio, mas maganda ang iyong performance. So, magagamit mo to para malaman mo ang capability ng iyong company to pay yung mga maturing obligations ng iyong company. And firstly, dapat meron ka munang current asset. Yung kanina, di ba? Usapan natin kanina, the current asset is 100,000. Okay? Or sa sample natin dito, example, no? Your current asset is 75,000. Your current liabilities are 100,000 pesos. So to get the current ratio, you just divide your current asset by your total current liabilities. So that is 75,000 divided by 100,000 pesos. Okay? And you will get 0.75 is to 1. Okay, so ano ibig sabihin ng 0.75 is to 1? Pag may utang kang piso, ang pambayad mo ay 75 cents lang. So, maganda ba? Hindi. Di ba? Kasi mas marami yung utang mo kesa cash. 0.75 versus 1. Sabi natin dito, mas mataas na current ratio, mas maganda ang iyong capability to pay yung mga maturing obligation. So, itong 0.75 is to 1, That is not a good position. That is not a strong position to pay your maturing obligations. Okay? Kasi dapat yan, lampas ng 1. Ang maganda, pag binaliktad natin yung ating sample, no? Sample, current asset is 500,000 while current liabilities remain the same. 100,000 pa rin. So, pag dinivide mo ang 500,000 by 100,000, you will get 5. That is 5:1. Okay, it means 5:1 ratio, mas maganda. Ibig sabihin, sa bawat piso na utang mo, ang iyong pambayad ay 5 pesos. Yung current ratio magagamit natin para ma-make sure ang performance mo, ang iyong capability to pay maturing obligation. So pag mas mataas sa 1 ang iyong ratio, mas maganda. Pero pag mas mababa sa 1, tulad ng sample natin dito, na 0.75, that is not a strong position. Alright? So yun ang gamit ng current ratio. So we should also always maintain na mas mataas yung ating current ratio. Alright? So let's go to the next one. Ito naman ay acid test ratio. Ito naman ay mas matindi, no? Mas matinding gamitin to. Ito talaga magsasabi talaga sa atin kung gaano ka strong ang iyong position to pay yung mga maturing obligation mo or current liabilities. This is what we call the acid test ratio. Now, this ratio is like the current ratio, but hindi natin sinasama sa current asset in computing, hindi natin sinasama sa current asset yung inventories tapos prepaid expenses. Okay? Kung sinasama lang natin sa current asset ay yung cash, that is 10,000. The short-term investment, 11,000. Okay? Plus current, ano ba to? That is 10,000 plus 1 plus current portion of your receivable. Pag tinotal natin, cash plus short-term investment plus current receivable, ang kuha natin ay 33,000. Okay? While ang current liabilities mo or utang mo that should be paid within 1 year ay 11,000. So just get the rate, just divide 33,000 by 11,000, you will get 3:1. Okay? So ibig sabihin ng 3:1. So bawat piso na utang mo, ang pambayad mo ay 3 pesos. So magagamit mo to, itong acid test ratio, to measure ang iyong capability or yung mas matinding capability mo to pay maturing obligations. Okay? So ang tawag natin dito sa cash, short-term investment, and current receivable, ito man tinatawag natin mga quick asset. And i-divide natin sa ating current liabilities to get the acid test ratio, 3:1. So maganda itong 3:1, ibig sabihin, utang mo piso, ang babayad mo ay 3 pesos. Ito maganda. Kasi yung 3 ay above 1. Yan. So dapat mas mataas palagi yung nasa kaliwa para masabi natin maganda ang performance ng iyong company or iyong business. Okay? Ito naman, accounts receivable turnover. This one is another tool na pwede nyong gamitin sa inyong mga business na. Firstly, ang account receivable, ito mga pautang ng inyong company, receivable. So these are asset, na mga pautang, we call them, or we consider pautang or receivable as your asset. Then we're going to measure the account receivable turnover. So, ano ba ibig sabihin ng AR? Ano ba ibig sabihin ng account receivable turnover? This ratio measures how many times a company converts its receivable into cash. Ibig sabihin, account receivable turnover, mini-measure niyan sa loob ng isang taon, ilang beses mo nakokolekta ang iyong mga receivable. Mas madalas ka makokolekta ng receivable, mas maganda para sa company. Pero pag mas matagal or madalang ka makakolekta ng receivable sa loob ng isang taon, that is not healthy for the company. So, ibig sabihin, pag hindi na kolekta, may problem. Siguro wala kang collector, no? Or mahirap magbayad yung mga pinapautang nyo. Okay? That is the AR turnover or account receivable turnover. Now, formula. Firstly, dapat nating malaman muna how do we compute the account receivable turnover or ilang beses ka makakolekta? That is net sales divided by account or average account receivable. Ito. Account receivable turnover is equal to net sales divided by average account receivable. Okay? So, ibig sabihin ng net sale, ito yung benta mo. Or net mong benta. Example, sa loob ng isang taon, nakabenta ka ng 500,000. That is your net sales. No? Then right away, that should be your numerator. So, lagay mo sa taas yung 500,000. Then divided by the denominator. Ang denominator natin ay average account receivable. Sa ating sample, the average account receivable is 45,000 pesos. Then how do you compute the average account receivable? O ganito gawin natin. Yung beginning receivable mo, pag siya ang beginning, ito yung pautang mo nung January 1, example, January 1, 2023, start ng taon, beginning ng taon, yan ang yung beginning account receivable. 50,000 pesos ang pautang mo sa umpisa ng taon, 50,000. Plus, you get the ending account receivable sa katapusan ng taon. Example, December 31, 2023, ang iyong account receivable ay 40,000 pesos. Kumpleto na. Meron kang beginning account receivable plus ending account receivable na 40,000. So 50,000 plus 40,000, that is 90,000. Divided by 2, that is 45,000. So therefore, ang iyong average account receivable is 45,000. Okay? So, ilagay mo dito yung 45,000 as your denominator. Okay, kompleto na. Net sales, 100,000. Average account receivable, 45,000. So, you divide 500,000 by 45,000 and you will get 11. Ibig sabihin ng 11 times. 11 times kung nung mong na-convert ang receivable into cash. Sabihin, 11 times na nagkakolekta ng receivable sa loob ng isang taon. O yun ang ibig sabihin ng turnover. Yan. 11 times. Ibig sabihin, madalas tayo nakakolekta, halos monthly, ay nakakolekta tayo ng receivable. Kasi 11 times, di ba? So, bawat buwan, kakolekta ka. So, maganda. That is a good sign for the company. Ang ating turnover ay maganda or healthy pag marami tayong nakokolekta sa loob ng isang taon. Ang pangit sa inyong business na pag ang account receivable turnover mo ay madalang or example, 5 times lang or 4 times or 3 times lang sa loob ng isang taon, that is not healthy for the company. Okay? Pero pang 11 times, maganda yan. Magandang, there is a good turnover of account receivable for the company. Okay? How many times? 11 times. Ibig sabihin, kolektahin palagi ang mga receivable mo para ma-convert into cash right away at magamit sa operation ng company. Okay, the next one. Inventory turnover naman. So, what is meant by inventory? So, discuss muna natin ang inventory. No? Inventory is an asset. So, lahat ng stock sa iyong company, sa loob ng iyong company na intended to be sold by the business, yan tinatawag natin inventory ng company. Example, ito magandang example. No? Pasok ka ng isang grocery store, lahat ng stock doon sa loob na bibenta ng grocery, yun ay merchandise inventory ng iyong company. Pasok ka sa isang drugstore or pharmaceutical company, lahat ng gamot sa loob that are intended for sale, Those are merchandise inventory ng business. Okay? O pasok ka sa dealer ng sasakyan, ng kotse. O lahat ng sasakyan sa loob na na ibebenta nila. Those are merchandise inventory. So, basically, inventory are lahat ng stock or lahat ng asset that are intended to be sold by the company. Mga produkto nila, ito mga produkto nila na ibebenta nila. So, these are the merchandise inventory of the company. So, pag sinabi merchandise inventory, so paano magagamit ito? This ratio measures the number of times sa loob ng isang taon, ilang beses na ibenta ang mga inventory ninyo. Yan ang ibig sabihin ng inventory turnover. So, mas maraming times mo na ibenta ang iyong merchandise inventory sa loob ng isang taon, mas maganda for the company. Ibig sabihin, mabilis ang movement ng inventory. Walang mga items, walang inventory na nagiging obsolete, walang nasasayang, walang naluluma, no? na i-dispose ka agad. Yan ibig sabihin ng ating mga inventory turnover. And how do we compute ang mga inventory natin? O, inventory turnover is equal to numerator, cost of goods sold, 300,000 divided by average inventory, 25,000. Okay? So, ang cost of goods sold, ito yung puhunan mo para sa iyong company. Example, pumunta kang Divisoria, bumili ka ng t-shirt na bawat isa ay 100 pesos. Tapos, bumili ka ng 10. So, that is 100 pesos multiplied by 10. That is 1,000 pesos. Okay? Pag yung t-shirt na yan, ibinenta mo doon sa lugar nyo, example sa Quezon City, mas mataas yan sa 100 pesos. Siguro ang benta mo sa t-shirt, pagdating sa inyo ay 180 pesos. No? 180. So we have two amounts here. 100 na puhunan mo, nung binili mo siya, tapos 180 na selling price ng iyong t-shirt. Okay? Ang cost of goods sold mo dyan ay yung 100 pesos. So pag bumili ka ng 10 t-shirt, that is 100 pesos multiplied by 10, that is 1,000. So ang cost of goods sold mo ay 1,000 pesos. Okay? O sa ating sample dito, ang puhunan mo ay 300,000 pesos. That is your cost of goods sold divided by the average inventory. So once again, we should compute first yung ating denominator or average inventory. So once again, pag sinabing average, we add the beginning plus the ending inventory and divided by 2. Okay? O beginning inventory ng January 1, 2023. Umpisa ng taon daw, ang ating inventaryo ay to 20,000 pesos. Plus the ending inventory. Inventory mo noong December 31, 2023 is 30,000 pesos. So, yadala natin silang dalawa. 20,000 plus 30,000 divided by 2, that is 25,000 pesos. Average inventory is 25,000 pesos. Right? Itong 25,000, ito yung ilalagay nating denominator dun sa inventory turnover formula natin. Okay? So that is 300,000 divided by 25,000 pesos. And you will get 12 times. Ibig sabihin, ang turnover natin ay 12 times. Sa loob ng isang taon, we were able to sell ang inventory natin 12 times or 12 beses sa loob ng isang taon. Is it healthy? Yes, kasi halos buwan-buwan ay i-convert natin ang ating mga inventory into cash. Yan ating turnover. Ibig sabihin, pag mas mataas ang iyong turnover na na-compute, mas maganda para sa inyong company. Kasi pag ang lumabas ay 3 times, ibig sabihin, sa loob ng isang taon, 3 times sila nakabenta. Or 3 times mo lang na-convert ang iyong mga inventory. So, hindi maganda, di ba? So, luckily, we got 12 times. So, gamitin nyo to in in knowing or measuring kung na-convert ka agad into cash yung mga inventory nyo. Kasi pag hindi, ibig sabihin yan, baka matabunan o maging obsolete yung mga inventory nyo pag hindi na-ibenta, sayang. Okay, the next one is the days sales uncollected. Let us define. Ibig sabihin ng days sales uncollected ng receivable, it provides insight in knowing how frequently, gaano kadalas, ilang beses ang binibilang bago makakolekta ng mga receivable. So we can use this one to measure kung mabilis ba tayo makakolekta or mabagal by knowing the number of days na lumalampas bago tayo makakolekta ng ating mga receivables. Ang sagot dito, pag ginamit natin to, the answer here are in days. Ilang araw ang binibilang natin bago ang pinaghihintay natin bago makakolekta ng mga receivable or mga pautang ng ating company. Okay, so I think I know this one is very useful as tool para sa inyong mga business. Okay, days sales uncollected. Formula, account receivable again, net. Ito yung mga pautang natin sa katapusan ng taon. Di ba? Tapusan ng taon meron mga pautang na hindi nakokolekta. No? Ito yung 40,000 pesos. Ibig sabihin, at the end of 2023, December 31, 2023, ang hindi mo nakolekta ang receivable ay 40,000 pesos. So that is your numerator. Divided by, your denominator is your net sales. In this case, your net sales is 500,000 pesos. Once again, net sales ay mga benta, total benta ng inyong company. So 40,000 divided by 500,000, and you will get 0.08. And you multiply that 0.08 by 365. So what is 365? That is a total number of days in 1 year. So 0.08 times 365, you will get 29. That is 29 days. Okay? Ano ibig sabihin yan? You will count 29 days bago makolekta ang mga pautang ninyo. Is it good? Oh, pwede. 29 days. Kasi normally, di ba, nagpapautang ka. 30 days ang limit. O biyaran mo yan ha. Payable in 30 days, no? So, in 29 days, okay lang. Sabihin, you can't avoid naman sa business na hindi ka nagpapautang. Okay? Kasi marami kang magiging customers kung may credit limit ka, like 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days, di ba? Ito maganda kasi in 30 days time, you collect your receivable. Hindi sa masyado nagtatagal. Ang pangit, pag ang nakuha mo dito, compute mo dito ay let's say 90 days, no? Ang na-compute mo dito, ibig sabihin, 3 buwan hinihintay mo bago ka makokolekta ng iyong mga receivable. So mas maikli ang na-compute mo dito in days, mas maganda for the company. Ibig sabihin, you collect your receivable as early as possible. 29 days lang. And next one, ito naman ay the days sales in inventory. So basically, ito yung mga you can use this tool or ratio to measure in evaluating inventory liquidity. Ilang araw ang hinihintay natin bago mo ma-dispatcha, ma-dispose ang mga stocks or inventory mo. Okay? Gaano kahaba? Gaano kaikli? So, sabihin, ang sagot natin dito, mas maikli sa number of days, mas maganda for the company. Sabihin, hindi masyadong nagtatagal, no? Ang inventory na ibibenta ka agad. Ang hindi maganda, pag inabot ka ng like 90 days ulit, sabihin, 90 days mo bago ma-ibenta ang mga inventory ng iyong company. Okay? And how do you compute? We have the formula here. Days sales and inventory is equal to ending inventory again. Ending inventory. Ito inventory na natira sa iyong company sa katapusan ng taon. Example, December 31, 2023. Ang natirang inventory mo ay 30,000 pesos. So right away, that should be your numerator. Alright? Then you divide that by the cost of goods sold. Yung cost of goods sold, once again, na-discuss natin kanina, ito yung puhunan mo, that is your purchase cost, which is 300,000 pesos. So divide 30,000 by 300,000 and you will get 0.10. And once again, multiply that by 365. Alright? And you will get 36 days. So, what is 365? Once again, that is the number of days in 1 year. So, we got 36. That is 36 days. Ibig sabihin, we count 36 days ang lumilipas before we can convert into cash o bago maibenta yung mga inventory or stock ng iyong company. Okay? Halos isang buwan ang bibilang natin bago ma-dispose ang ating mga inventaryo. Days sales in inventory. So magagamit mo to, no? You can use this one para make sure kung gaano katagal ang ating binibilang in terms of days, no? Bago maibenta yung mga stocks or inventory ng ating company. Okay. So next one, ito naman, accounts payable turnover. Iwanagin lang natin. Ang receivable, pautang. Ang payable, utang. Ang receivable, kinokolekta. Ang payable, binabayaran. Okay? Then, as a good businessman, hindi lang puro kolekta. You should also take your you should also be responsible enough to pay yung mga maturing obligation ng mga suppliers nyo. Hindi puro pakabig, Hindi puro papasok ang pera. Dapat nagbabayad din tayo properly sa mga payables natin. So, it is normal for us to compute the accounts payable turnover ng ating mga company. Okay? Mga pagkakautang. Formula. In getting your accounts payable turnover, you should get as your numerator the net purchases of your company. Pag siya yung purchases, ito mga total cost of items na binili natin. Example, pumunta kang Divisoria, namili ka ng worth 200,000 pesos, tapos ibibenta mo yan. In 200,000 pesos, we call that the net purchases of your company. Okay? For example natin, pupunta kang Divisoria, namili ka ng total amount of 150,000 pesos na mga merchandise or stock or inventory sa Divisoria. 150,000 pesos. You have the intention to sell those things sa iyong grocery sa inyong bahay. Yan. Divided by the average accounts payable. The average accounts payable, once again, you get the beginning accounts payable. Ibig sabihin, magkano yung utang mo noong January 1, 2023? 37,000. Okay? Plus, magkano utang mo nung katapusan ng taon, December 31? That is 8,000. You just add 7,000 plus 8,000, that is 15,000. Divided by 2, and your average account payable is 7,500. Right? In 7,500, yun ang ilagay mo dito sa denominator ng ating formula. So you have 150,000 divided by 7,500. And you will get 20 times. Sabihin, sa loob ng isang taon, 20 beses ka nagbayad ng mga utang mo. That is what we call the accounts payable. So, if you want to know, ilang beses na nagbayad ng utang? 20 times. That is accounts payable turnover. Okay? And paano mo sa gagamitan? Sa magagamitan ng ang accounts payable turnover, this tool or this ratio measures how many times a company pays its short-term liability to supplier bawat taon. Useful? Malaman mo dyan, di ba? Ilang beses na nagbayad? Aba, in 2023 pala, we paid 23 times or 20 times. Halos 2 beses isang buwan. yung ating pagbayad sa ating mga maturing obligations. Then yung ating last part, ang lesson is the days purchase in accounts payable. So the use of this ratio in your business, this ratio is a useful ratio in evaluating how long the business takes to pay its credit suppliers. So once again guys, yung payable, di ba? Ito yung mga utang nyo. Utang ibig sabihin yung pera palabas. So you're paying your suppliers. So ang gamit natin dito, dapat nating malaman kung ilang araw, di ba? Kung ilang araw natin babayaran yung mga suppliers natin. So sa ating sample dito, days purchase and accounts payable for formula, accounts payable ending. Yung numerator natin na 8,000 sa taas. Ito yung accounts payable utang natin pagkatapos ng taon. Example, sa 2024. May natitira tayong utang sa December 31 na 8,000 pesos. So right away, that is your numerator. Yung sa taas na. And divide that with your cost of goods sold. So once again, cost of goods sold, ito yung mga puhunan nyo dun sa mga binibenta nyo mga products. Example, isa sa taon 2024, no? Magbebenta ka ng 1,000 units ng product, 1,000. Then, assuming na bawat isa na unit, ang kanyang price, ang kanyang cost or nagastos mo ay 300 pesos. So, 1,000 piraso, product, ang puhunan ni bawat isa ay 300 pesos. So, if you will multiply 1,000 multiply by 300 pesos na puhunan bawat isang unit, ang total niyan is 300,000 pesos. Your cost of goods sold. Puhunan mo. So, that is your denominator. 300,000 pesos. So, you're going to divide 8,000 by 300,000 pesos. If you will divide that one, 8,000 divided by 300,000 pesos, we will get 0.026666. Then pag niround off mo siya ng 4 decimal places, yung 0.026666 ay magiging 0.0267. So wag natin kunin yung mahabang decimal places. Kumuha lang natin ng 4 na decimal places. So 0.0267. So ito siya, no? Then you multiply that by 365. The number of days in 1 year. So you do the math, and you will get 9 points something times 365. You will get 9.7455. I-round off natin yung 9.7455 rounded off to whole number. So magiging 10. Ang tanong, ano ba yung 10? That is 10 days. Kasi hinap natin dito ay days purchase and accounts payable. Gaano katagal natin bago bayaran yung mga pagkakautang natin? So 10 days. Right? So ang question sa inyo, yung 10 days ba ay okay? Hindi, no? Kasi parang masyado siyang mabilis. Parang 10 days lang, nagbabayad ka na. Kasi pag pwede mo pang i-extend yung payment mo, so pwede mo siyang gawin para yung mga cash na dapat mo pambayad sana, ay pwede mo pang magamit sa iba pang mas urgent na mga bayarin or expenses. Kasi normal in business, ang suppliers, bibigyan ka nilang credit limit, credit days. So magtatanong ka, ilang days ba yung bago bayaran? Mas mahaba, mas maganda. Example, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So pag payable, pag ikaw magbabayad, as much possible, dapat mas mahaba yung days. 30 days, 60, 90, hanggang 120 days, no? 4 months, bago bayaran. So you take advantage of pwede mong utangin ng mga supplies from your suppliers. Pag payables, no? Pag receivable kasi, dapat mas maikli. Kasi ikaw yung babayaran eh. Pag receivable, mas as early as possible, mas maikli na days mas maganda para sa iyong business. Ito kasi variable. So yung 10 days parang masyadong maaga. You can extend ng 10 days. So, by using this formula, malalaman mo na masyado kang maaga bago magbayad. So next time, pwede mo sang extend, pwede mo sang habaan. Ginagamit ng days purchase in accounts payable sa business. Okay, so hoping that all the ratio that we have learned today can be applied sa inyong mga succeeding transactions or businesses in the future. So I know that this is my last slide. Ayan, so once again, with our lesson today, sana may natutunan and hoping to see you all guys next time sa aking mga video tutorial. And this has been Dr. Cortez, your business doctor, and see you around people. Hoping you all well and see you around.